If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Let's get started. Our anime begins by introducing us to Miko, a girl you'd love to have as a girlfriend. Charming, but always plagued by the supernatural. She starts her day at school where we meet her gassy friend Hana. Miko recognizes her without even seeing her face, just by the feel of her pillows on her back. After the school, Miko heads home, but gets caught in the rain and ends up soaked. While she's drying herself, out of nowhere, a terrifying ghost appears in front of her. The ghost keeps asking if she can see it. Afraid of being eaten by the ghost, Miko pretends she sees nothing. Even as the ghost gets closer, she still maintains her ugly face and prays to leave her alone, so the ghost leaves. When she gets home, she thinks it's going to be fine, but a ghost simply appears while she's brushing her teeth. But this time, Miko feels much calmer. While pretending to wash her face, she prays that the ghost would leave quickly. Unfortunately, her prayer is not fulfilled, and the ghost stays in the bathroom staring at her. Miko is very terrified to have a good sleep, so she decides to use holy weapons. That's right, a pot of salt, which simply doesn't do anything. She even sees a ghost sitting on her oranges, calling her mom, and like the pets, start eating her salt. The next day, Hana starts talking about how gross it was to see a movie featuring a severed head. A little scared, Hana asks Miko to help open the locker and take out her mobile phone. Miko comforts herself it is just a TV show and boldly opens the locker, and guess what happens? A severed head mysteriously appears in the locker. As Hana said to help Hana get her mobile phone, Miko can only pluck up the courage to reach out to the ghost. After taking out the phone, Miko falls to her knees in fear. Then in class, Hana mentions that she forgot to put on her shorts. Now seriously, who forgets something like that? She laughs it off, saying it feels nice to get a breeze, not realizing that her comment would soon attract the attention of a ghost who clings to her like glue. Seeing this, Miko pretends to have a stomach ache, so she drags Hana to the infirmary. Now here's where things get interesting. This ghost apparently has a taste for Hana's oranges. On the other hand, as Hana is apparently crazy, she says she can't hear her heartbeat because the oranges are too big. But as the Miko is straight like a flat screen TV, you should be able to hear it. Miko decides to test something out and starts pouring hand sanitizer over Hana's oranges to see if it might scare the ghost away. But it only encourages the ghost to cling tighter, making things even weirder. Now the ghost not only shows its arms, but also its head. Hana, still oblivious to everything going on, tries to keep the situation light. She wanted to play with Miko like that. The only problem is that the ghost also wants to. But suddenly the nurse Kido arrives, and that moment the ghost sees her, it switches targets. Apparently, Nurse Kido's presence has a sexy figure, and the ghost abandons Hana and goes for her instead. Instead of feeling relieved, Miko's left frustrated. Even ghosts seem to find her as flat as a board. After school, Miko and Hana come to the dessert shop. Miko accidentally ends up in a line of ghosts who seems to queue up to the netherworld. Luckily, Hana spots Miko standing on the side of the road and pulls her back to the dessert shop. We see that at the end of the line, she was simply going to turn Daddy's dessert. After that, Hana ends up bumping into a kitten in a box. But like everything in this anime, it comes down to misfortune. Even the cat was haunted, my kids. But during this, a boy appears wanting to adopt the cat, but only to see that the crazy guy was surrounded by ghosts. Angry, Miko sees that the crazy person was a bad thing and simply rejects him. Finally, they give the cat to a middle-aged man who looks very intimidating, but is kind-hearted and are surrounded by many friendly spirits. The next day, Miko was riding the bus. Things took a bizarre turn. Ghosts began to swarm the vehicle, making it impossible for her to press the stop button. As a result, she missed her stop entirely. Frustrated and unnerved, she eventually arrived at the snack bar to wait for Hana. While sitting there, she noticed a strange person being followed by a gassy ghost that had the audacity to start tasting the person's ear. The sight was revolting. To make matters worse, the person, mistakenly convinced that Miko wanted to steal their so-called boyfriend, started glaring at her in suspicion. Things went from bad to worse when the ghost, seemingly jealous, attempted to approach Miko. In a desperate bid to avoid its attention, Miko pretended to be watching videos of muscular men on her phone. Just when she thought the nightmare was over, Hana arrived. But instead of relief, the chaos escalated. The strange person thinks that Miko has a crush on him and takes the initiative to talk to her, but Miko ignores him. Later, Miko decided to buy several bracelets that supposedly scare away spirits. And as you know that ghosts love Hana oranges, Miko gives Hana some too. But now we see that the what's so gassy about this girl is stupid, since just to buy bread, the girl wanted to go to the butcher's shop in a dark alley. In other words, the place was simply full of ghosts. Surprisingly, the bracelets seemed to work at first, but then a massive ghost appeared. The sheer force of its presence shattered Miko's bracelet. Things got even worse when Hana's stuffed rabbit fell near the ghost, forcing Miko to stick her head inside the giant ghost just to retrieve it. She barely made it out alive. Determined to find better protection, Miko visited an exorcist to request stronger charms. The exorcist thinks they just wanted that to play with, so she'll pick up anything but just seeing that the thing bursts, just by touching Miko, which made the exorcist realize something sinister about Miko's aura. But Hana is born different. She simply has a cool hidden power, so she going to a cool safe. The exorcist handed Miko the most potent bracelet available, claiming it would repel any spirit, but when Miko tried it on, it exploded instantly just like the others. Thankfully, this unexpected reaction managed to scare off the big guy from before. The next day, Miko wakes up feeling a bit different. Noticing her reactions, her brother asks if she was dreaming about a tico-tico in the cornmeal. Only Brazilians can relate to that. Later, before school, Miko goes to a small market with Hana, who eats so much that Mieruko realizes all the calories are just making Hana's oranges grow larger. When they go to pay, an ugly ghost appears, acting as the cashier, giving the eerie vibe. That night, Miko and her brother watch a horror movie together. But Miko is so disturbed that she even sees real ghosts in the movie, one of which seems to be attacking a fizzy drink. Deciding to calm down, she heads out to buy a soft drink. As she tries to put a coin in the vending machine, she accidentally drops it and spots a tiny ghost. And for some reason that I don't even know, the girl throws the coin to continue following it, and it leads her to an alley. There she sees the little ghost being eaten by an old, larger ghost, leaving only its dusty tail. Horrified but trying to act natural, Miko reaches for her coin, but the ghost breathes foul-smelling air into her face, making her cry in disgust. Just then, a crow swoops down and steals her coin, which gives her an opportunity to escape from that situation. The next day, noticing that Miko has been acting strangely, her brother decides to follow her and ends up in a bookstore where she was reading a paranormal book. But when she left, the kid went to see and simply found a book on how to please a man in the best way. Later that night, while Miko was washing her beautiful oranges, a ghost simply appeared in the bathtub. In other words, Miko was simply in shock and just wanted to get out of there, but literally out of nowhere, her brother simply opened the door, asking her to take a bath together, catching her off guard. Seeing his sister differently than usual, he awkwardly mentions that at least he was able to check that his sister didn't have any juicy marks on her body, leaving her even more embarrassed. The next morning, as Miko sits down for breakfast, she's horrified to see an enormous ghost hovering over the table, paralyzed with fear like a stone, and to make matters worse, the ghost licks her food. Now things take an even darker turn, my friend, because we see that Miko's father is simply the biggest fan of pudding isn't actually alive. She takes his favorite pudding from the fridge and places it on his memorial, confirming that the old man is simply dead, and what we saw all the time was nothing less than a ghost. One day, a blonde girl approaches the old woman from earlier, asking to become her apprentice. The old woman, wanting to get rid of her, reluctantly hands over one of her protective amulets, despite having only one left. It turns out, this girl Yuria can also see ghosts, but unlike Miko, she has no fear of them. Her dream is to become a great exorcist, not to help others, but to make people jealous of her abilities. Later, Yuria notices Miko easily helping Hana dodge a ghost. Realizing they attend the same school, Yulia decides to confront her. She corners Miko in a dark room and claims to know everything, saying they are the same. However, instead of confirming this, Miko pretends she doesn't see anything, leaving Runt frustrated and confused. Just as the tension rises, disaster strikes. A massive, terrifying ghost appears, so large that the runt couldn't see it. But just realizing that it is seen by Miko, the ghost simply freaks out and breaks Yuria's protective bracelet. Trying to keep Runt safe and silent, Miko puts her in a rear naked choke to knock her out, once and for all. After that, because the Runt can't see the evil ghost, Miko continues to act like she doesn't understand about ghosts and leaves it alone. When Yuria wakes up, she misinterprets Miko's actions, believing Miko simply threatens, "I'll beat you up if she talks about this again." While trying to leave the area, Miko accidentally bumps into an old granny dressed in rags. Feeling sorry for her, Miko decides to take the granny home. At the granny's house, her daughter was going to get a reward. Suddenly, Miko notices a ghost nearby muttering random numbers. When these numbers are accidentally shown to the old woman, it turns out they're the combination to her late husband's safe. Inside the safe is a comb, which the old woman uses to fix her appearance. This simple act of self-care restores her sense of normalcy, and the ghost, apparently satisfied, thanks Miko before disappearing. On another day, Miko woke up after a nightmare where she was attacked by a ghost worse than usual. On the other hand, Hana also starts to go through a spate of paranormal events, be it the lamp, which she changed a few days ago, blinking for no reason, and a dog sees something bad about her, and we see that the girl was simply being followed by the ghost from Miko's dream, who, throwing one of its minions on Hana's pillows, wanted to test her hidden power. Later, Hana saw a boy crying because his dog had wandered into a haunted place and refused to come out. Feeling sorry for him and compelled to help, Hana decided to enter the haunted place alone. However, when she entered there, the ghost from Miko's dream begins to taste literally everyone who tries to get close to Hana, and thanks to the chaos it caused, the boy's dog was saved. After that, they decide to go to a temple for help, but the ghost wasn't ready to give up just yet. The big guy was still after Hana, so when they make the request, suddenly the two powerful spiritual guardians appeared. What followed was an epic battle between the guardians and the big guy. In the midst of the fight, the guardians summoned a colossal divine entity. This godlike figure easily overpowered the ghost, consuming it as though it were nothing. Finally, peace was restored and Miko could breathe a sigh of relief, knowing she was safe from the big guy. But that's the end of today's video. If you want the continuation, leave it in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel with the bell activated so you don't miss the next anime stories. Leave a like, it will help the channel a lot. I really appreciate it, guys. That's it. We'll see you on my next video. Bye.